Hey there, I'm Justin Wilcox from Customer Dev Labs, and today we're answering the questions, how many interviews should you do? How many customer interviews should you do before you know whether or not you found their biggest challenges? Well, I answered this question the same way I answer questions about any experiment. We are done when we're seeing diminishing returns on our investment. So we measure this just like with any other ROI decision. So what's the R? What's the return for an experiment like problem interviews? Well, the return for all of our experiments is actually the same. It's always learning. So what would diminished returns look like for problem interviews? Well, we would see fewer problems coming in, at least fewer new problems that we didn't already know about. Now, what does the I mean? Well, I is going to be pretty typical. It's the time. So if we're spending time and not learning about new problems, then we're probably done with our customer interviews. So roughly, how many interviews does that take? Well, lots of people, including myself, I used to answer, well, it depends. But now I'm starting to see my own pattern. That pattern is that if you're having to interview more than 5 people before you start seeing patterns, before you start hearing repetition, if you're interviewing more than 5 and you're not seeing that repetition, it's probably because you're interviewing people across niches. Your customer segment is too broad. I want you to hone in and focus more specifically on a group of people who are demonstrating behavior that indicate that they probably have the problem you're trying to solve. Once you niche, you'll start to see that pattern within 5 interviews. Now, 5 interviews doesn't mean that you've exhausted all the learning, but probably between 5 and 20, you'll start to be done. So think about that. If you've interviewed more than 5 and certainly more than 20 and you're not seeing a pattern in the problems, your niche is too big. All right, so that's how many customers to interview, and that's how you measure whether or not you're done with your experiment. So give this a shot and let me know what you learn.